Thank you again for joining my podcast. Hope you've been enjoying some of my podcasts, and thank you for downloading. Please just like, share, and spread the message. I really appreciate those that are listening, though, and hope you continue listening in the future. Tonight we'll be discussing tyranny has come to America. And obviously many people understand tyranny in different ways and different concepts. I'm pretty much going in my own understanding of what tyranny is and how it's finally really revealed itself and should be revealed itself to you. If you've lived long enough, like it says in the description, if you've lived long enough, you've seen enough, you should know enough that the plain truth of it all is America is totally evil to its people, totally evil to what it's allowed to occur within the government, within the school systems, within the media, within the, I guess you could say, the programs that are put on TV. You know, we all are fighting, we're all infighting, while this government, this evil government, is just laughing at everyone because they never cared. If you think your left side cares, they don't. If you think the right side cares, it don't. Nobody in the government cares about you. You are just another number to this government. You're just another person that's going to die, and this government's going to go on, and it's going to continue the evil that it's allowed to occur. It's going to continue the tyranny, the lies, the deception. You know, it's like somebody that you knew for a long time, but you finally figured out that they've been manipulating you for years and years and years. And they're manipulating this culture. And the only reason they're manipulating this culture more than any other culture is because this culture is so ignorant to truth. It's so ignorant to all parts of life. This culture has accepted lie after lie after lie after lie, and they continue doing it. And you say, why do they keep doing it? Because they're ignorant. And with ignorance, tyranny runs rampant. This monster, they want to call it the swamp, but the swamp is the whole government in general. It's a swampy mess, and is manipulated, and it used to be really hard to manipulate masses of people, but as you can tell, our media only shoots one story, and that story all day long, and they only perpetuate that story. They might throw a couple little things here and there, but it's this story all day long. And while you're watching and getting fired up on one side and getting fired up on the next, they got another story that's going to swing you back the other way the next day. And they're totally manipulating the culture, the society, and they're evil. They're totally evil. And all these people you're listening to on these news channels are totally manipulative too. They are taught, okay, you're sending your sons and your daughters to these colleges to learn how to manipulate culture, how to lie to culture, how to make people believe something, how to make things dramatic, more dramatic than what they are, how to spread lies, how to, they're manipulating massive amounts of people. And I mean massive amounts of people around the world. And it's our government that's doing it. And it's because our government has been given this evil power to do. Because, just like we don't see Putin's media being spread all over the place, we don't see China's media spread all over the place. Because, see, we are the narrative. And everybody in the world feeds off of our narratives. And the narratives and the morals and everything is sent out from our media. And all of it is a lie. It is manipulated. It is so manipulating so many people. It is allowing schools to become propagandist material for kids. Your churches, they're in on it. The churches are in on it. They're manipulating the culture. They're making it seem like nothing's going on. Just live your best life now while your country's burning down around you. And until you get to a point where you start believing truth, and when I say truth, I mean the living word of God, you will never rise up against tyranny. Tyranny is for people that are ignorant of truth, who deny truth, truth deniers, acceptors of lies, and that's what a lot of our culture is now. They would rather live a lie than live a truth. They would rather plather in all kinds of evil, murder, robberies, all kinds of evils. And that's because our culture is now riding on the back of a beast. And as you might want to go back and download my podcast on the beast system, but that's what it's riding on. It's riding on the beast system. And a lot of people are jumping on this beast, and they're riding it. And they're riding it right into hell. And if you want to stop tyranny, you don't stop it by the Second Amendment. Amendments are never going to do anything for you. Laws, they don't do anything for you. Laws are only for those that believe in truth. If you have no truth, you have no laws. If you have no laws, tyranny runs over you. We've seen it time and time again now, where the laws are what they are, but nobody goes by the law anymore. Because we live in a lawless society. And the reason we're lawless in this society is, like I said, nobody is real true believers of truth. They don't have truth in them. And some people do, but they're overridden by so many that don't believe in truth. And as much as you want to believe in your politicians, they are evil. They're here they're only here because they're after and they're chasing one thing, the almighty dollar. That's all they care about. And they try to make it seem like they care about your kid or they care about this or that. They don't care about nothing. They don't care about the environment. They try to act like they do because they have to get in power. But once they get in power, they don't care anymore. People complaining about this border. This government's it's a tyrannical government. It doesn't believe in the law of borders. It doesn't believe in the law of not allowing rioters to break down buildings. It don't believe in that because it's a lawless society. And guess what? The benefactor of this is nothing. The consequences of this is you have a sure reason why not to be perpetuating any wars with Russia or China or anywhere else. Because guess what? This government, this army, and that's another thing I want to tell you people. As much as you want to believe in the police force around you, they're just as how would you put it? They're just as bad as the criminals out here, okay? The police are just as bad. Their mentalities might be in a different way bad than the criminal, but they're just as bad as the criminal, if you can understand that. Most of them have no conception of truth. They spit lies. We've seen it many a time on some video, them spitting lies to somebody about them having to do this or them having to do that. So they're believing a lie too. And they think they got all the power, but God has got all power. And tyrannical governments, though, are for the ignorant, the ones who don't think for themselves. They think the government has all their, they think all the government has their best interest, but it don't. You don't have your best interest. The state don't have your best interest. Your kids, you wonder why they're dying. You wonder why they're getting shot up. You wonder why they're not learning anything in school. I'm going to tell you why. Because, first of all, you can't learn propagandist materials when most kids know you're lying to them. They have Google. They know that these teachers are just lying. I mean, teachers are lying straight-faced about many things. When I was in school, I know now my teachers lied to me like it was nothing, and I was a child. So how much more are these governments and these city council and everything else? They're all here just to do one thing, and that's to scratch each other's backs, make millions of dollars off of your back, off of you going to your little 9-to-5 job, and not even a full-time job, because they're not going to give you a full-time job. The government isn't going to enforce full-time jobs for some jobs. There should be some jobs that are only full-time. They can only be hired out as full-time. They're not going to do that because they're making too much money. And guess what? These corporations, guess who owns these corporations? The government. Your government officials. Your state officials. They own these corporations. These corporations have nothing to do. They're only doing what they're told. And guess who's telling them? The government. And when you see Facebook and you see Twitter and you see all this crap, it's only to make you think that they care. They have no reason to care. They're tyrannical. Our government is a tyrant. It is a tyrant against the people. It is a tyrant against real patriots. I mean, it's literally calling real patriots, and I say real patriots, and the ones that have truth in them. The ones that believe in the Bible. Them are the real patriots. The ones that believe in protecting their kids from all this violence and all these lies, and don't want to put their kids in no kind of school that's going to teach them the devilment. And then these parents wonder why their kid acts like Satan when he comes home, because he's being taught a lie. And who's the father of all lies? It's called the devil. And he really exists, and he's really in America. He's really in your government, and he's pushing your government to destroy you all, because you won't wake up. You know, all these people saying they're woke. You better wake up to Jesus, because he's the only one that's going to be able to save you from this tyrant, because this tyrant is going to run you down. You know, tyranny started a very, very long time ago. It started when they went right after the Civil War. And the reason it started, why I say it started right after the Civil War, is because we were a divided nation at that point. We were so divided that other people came in and took over government and things of that nature. And the people that had been doing government, they wasn't there no more. And then when you had these influx of migrants and thugs and what were they? They were the mafia and all this stuff. You see, before the Civil War, we had God-fearing, God-loving, God-understanding men and women in this country. But see, that was ended. That was ended. And when it ended, so did everything else along with it. And it's never been the same since. They've pitted the North and the South and everything against each other for generations now, even up till today. We're still divided. We're a divided country. We never unified after that. We've never been unified after that. Why? Because now you have unbelievers with believers in this country. Unbelievers will never ever see the side of a believer. The believer will never see the side of an unbeliever. See, unbeliever, there were the only two things in this world, believers and unbelievers. Fools and wise men. Now you have fools everywhere. No wise men in government. There's no wise man in government. They're all fools. They're all fools because they all think that they're gonna get to escape. See, and then most of them are gonna escape. They're gonna escape and leave you with a more tyrannical government. Because guess what? We're just getting more and more crazy leaders as we go along. Before long, you'll have a crazy leader who won't want anybody telling them how to do anything. And when you do, guess what? Off with your head. Because that's what tyrants do. You know, and tyrants don't start doing this until they feel they have no choice left. And, you know, a lot of people in this country feel like they're in a third world country. They feel like they're not even in their country. Because, see, this isn't America. America died with the Civil War. You know, once you sever the body of something, once you cut something in half, it's dead. America didn't rise again. They want to tell you America didn't rise again. I'm going to tell you why America didn't rise again. Because America would have never instated the federal banking system, federal debt system, which causes tyranny. You know, and then they want to replace the dollar bill or the $20 bill of Jackson, when Jackson was the smartest man in the book, because he's seen that the Federal Reserve was trying to manipulate the country into debt and to become a debtor nation. Everybody should know right now, America is not the strongest nation in the world. It is the weakest nation in the world. Why is it the weakest? It's the most in debt. Okay? Like, look at your friends around you. Look at somebody around you, in a lot of debt. Are they strong? Are they strong people? No. They're very weak. They're very vulnerable. And guess what? If any country in this world, let's say even China itself, rejects even giving us another dime, you know how many people would starve to death? You know how many people is going to starve to death when China does cut off the meal ticket for this country? Because you've allowed this tyrant to manipulate everything. Now you're getting almost all your food from China. You're getting all your oil from overseas. And these countries could just cut you off in a minute. And you have nothing. And they know all this. And you think, and I'll tell you another thing. We're a debtor nation because of a tyrant, but then the tyrant's been paying tribute to the nation it's in debt with. It's been paying tribute. And I'm going to tell you something. Guess what? When they stop paying tribute, go look it up in the Bible you don't believe in and see what happens to a nation that stops paying tribute to the country that it's in debt with. Find out what happens. Because guess what? Whether or not you want to believe it, there's a slave and there's a master in everything in this world. There's a slave and there's a master. And guess what? Guess what you can't never do? You can't never go against the master. China's our master. It's got all of our debt. It's given us free reign with our money. Because it's the simple fact, it's our master. It knows it's our master. And as strong as our weak leadership is, as strong as they may look, they're all weak. But see, they don't, like I said, they don't care about that. Both sides are just about money. Like, they are just about money. They put 1.9 billion, 1.9 trillion, or spent 1.9 trillion. They could only give us $1,000 or so dollars, but they're lining their pockets because they own these corporations. And guess what? They own the corporation that says that this virus has caused harm to their business. So then they get a big fat check, and then what they do with the check? Then they hand it back to the man that's in power, in your county office, in your governor, your whoever. All that money gets lined right back into the pockets of these politicians, and it's just a corrupt, bankrupt government. You know, they don't want to say they're bankrupt, but they're bankrupt. Okay, I've heard that you can go to a bank now, and if it's a certain amount of money, you have to wait 2 or 3 weeks. And you know why you got to wait 2 or 3 weeks? Because your money don't come from the United States. It comes from China. That's where it's coming from. They can't even pull big sums of money out of a bank unless you have unless you already have the money there. But if you're just trying to cash a check, they're going to tell you you're going to have to wait 2 or 3 weeks, and then they're going to have to call you up. This government, like I said, it is a tyrant. It's manipulating us with our media. I mean, we can't even look at our channels on TV hardly without seeing how manipulated we are and how dumb and ignorant we are. That we allow it, that we pay these prices on these items and on these services, pay extravagant amounts of money for services that are so. Now, I'm not talking about your water, power, and all that stuff. I'm talking about like your cable. You can't even watch a TV show that you can like look at and say, "Man, that's a good show." Unless you like your children looking at it, and then, you know, guy getting gunned down every single minute, hostility in their voices. You know, this ain't no Matlock. This ain't no mystery shows. These are devil, Satan shows, showing you how to become a devil, a Satan worshiper. You know, got murder on it every single night. Murder, murder, murder. Every show is a murder, murder, murder. NCI murder. NCI murder. You know, that's all it is. NCI murder. NCI murder. And we wonder why our kids are killing each other. We wonder why this whole society thinks murder is the way to go. Because we're allowing our media to teach it to them. Hell, media is teaching it to you. Because I'm going to tell you something. You're only one click away from doing something you shouldn't be doing. Because it's going to ruin your life and everybody else's life. But see, that's the tyrant government. That government doesn't love you. I'll give you some examples of a government that isn't a tyrant. Russia's government is not a tyrant. Russia's government will not even allow adults to have pornography in their house. And if it is, guess what? They get beat. The people over there, the adults get beat. That man loves his people. He wants to keep his people in line. Our people let our people run amok because they don't have no love. They don't have no love for these people. The people that tell you on TV, oh, we love you, thank you for what? No, they don't. They don't care nothing about you. They don't care nothing about your futures. They don't care about if a nuke goes off in your city tomorrow. They don't care. They're here to make money. And they don't care how they make it. They don't care if it's on the backs of your children getting beat, getting killed on the streets. Just like this lady that's supposed to be BLM's leader. She's on the news the other day buying a 21-point-something million house in a white neighborhood. But that's our government. See, she's no different than the government. They ride on the backs of the people that are prepping them up, keeping them prepped up. And they throw all these cars at you every year. They throw all this stuff at you every year. And see, none of us are strong enough to tell our kids, you don't want none of this. This is not God's life for you. We don't want to say that. We want to say, oh, go get your dreams so you can become a little hellion like the rest of them. Oh, Mary she just went to that college. Oh, man, she's going to turn out and be so great. And in a couple of years, she's a total hellion. She's done turned into a total tyrant. Because that's what they're going to teach her. How to become a tyrant. How to become a total, no good, corrupt individual for society. That's what they're going to turn her into. If you think colleges for 1 second care about how your daughter turns out, they only want her to turn out one way. They want her to turn out to be a whore. They want her to turn out to be a lowlife that digs and works slave labor off the backs of the poor. And then wants to act like they care after they go to these Ivy League and all these big schools and all that money that they've made all these years. They don't care. Like I said, they don't care. You've been working, you're a police officer, you've been working, you're down there, you're just trying to collect a check. That's all these police officers are about, collecting checks. They don't care about protecting the moral right of the nation. They don't care about protecting anything. They just want to collect the check. They're like, just let me go home and collect this check. And that's fine. Because someone's going to collect the check, someone's going to collect the bullet, and someone's going to collect nothing. They're going to get a pink slip because they did the right thing, and they're going to be gone. That's the thing about this nation rewards the evil. It rewards evil. If you make an album and it says, whatever, and you're saying 1,000 cuss words, and you're being a total, no good to the nation. They reward that. They're like, man, here's millions of dollars. Our whole nation rewards that, and then a big hypocrite, the hypocrite of the nation, because our government is a tyrant, and the people are a hypocrite. Okay. Because the hypocrisy is they want to cry about the nation being wrong, but they're the ones buying the albums for their daughters. Then they wonder why their daughter comes out here and she gets raped, killed, and put in a trash can and burned. Because believe me, you can look it up. That's what happens to them. Then you wonder why your son gets found on the train tracks with a bullet in the back of his head. And then we wonder why all this happens, because we're giving the best to our kids. That's what we're doing. We're giving the best to our kids. We're giving them the best college so they can become a Satanist. They can turn into the biggest whore. They'll have to get 10 before they get out of college. They're going to have to get 10 abortions. They're going to have to get 10 or 15, miscarriages, but they got through college. But hell with their mental state, because I'm going to tell you, right by that time, your daughter's her mental state's gone. You know? Oh yeah, and your son, he learns something. He learns how, how to catch a STD. Then he has to take some kind of medicine for it the rest of his life. And then he slips in and out of depression. We're teaching them great ordeals in these colleges, I tell you. Your sons and daughters, that one guy a couple of years ago, he was going to college, he was fixing to become a doctor. He's killing all these girls in these hotel rooms. The Facebook killer guy. But these colleges, just keep throwing your kids at them. Because I'm going to tell you what the colleges are. They're Moloch. The colleges these days are the god of Moloch. Just keep throwing your kids at the god of Moloch. Go look up what the god of Moloch is. Fire. That's what these colleges are fire for your children. They teach them how to be a part of the fire of Satan, not the fire of God. Just the fire of Satan. And and I'm going to tell you something. This is the difference about Satan and about God. Satan can only burn up your life, this life. He can burn it up in a minute. And he will too. If he gets in there hard enough, he'll burn your whole life up in a few seconds. But don't tell your kids that. They don't need to know that just yet. But he'll burn it slap up. But I'm going to tell you something. Don't worry about what he burns up. Because there's going to be a God right after him who's an all-consuming fire. So what the devil didn't burn up, guess what God's going to do? He's going to burn the rest of it up. Because it isn't worth nothing. What you're allowing your kids to go through at these colleges, what you're saying, oh, they're going to be so great. No, they're not. They're learning how to be burned up, because Satan's going to burn them up. Oh, but they're good. They're good kids. Go listen to my message about the good or the wicked, the bad, and the ugly. Go look at that message after you get done here. Because I'll tell you what happens to good kids. I'll tell you what happens to good dads, good mamas. They go to hell. They burn. Because you're not good. The only thing good in this world is God above. Jesus Christ is the only thing good in this world. There's no good kid. Oh, he was a good kid. Yeah. Well, that good kid you had, you know what you did? You spent 20 years in vain, because now he's a good kid dead. And you didn't teach him about Jesus, but he learned a hell of a lot in that college. But I'm going to tell you how much God cares about how much he learned in that college. Zero. Because see, the real knowledge, where real knowledge starts is a fear of God. That's where real knowledge starts. You got to have a real knowledge of that fear before you try to manage all this other knowledge. So if you're going to teach your kid anything, teach them to fear God. Teach them to fear God. Nothing else. Fear God. Do the right thing because you fear God. Do the right thing because of God. Because like I said, I hate to say it, but all these good people, they're in hell right now. Which they should be. This is a holy God. People say, oh, God's so gracious. Yes, he is gracious. To those that accept his son. To those that accept his truth. To those that accept his understanding. To those who bow to him. He is a good and gracious God. But to those who have none of that, to those who don't know him, only wrath will they see. Only wrath will they get. You think this tyrannical government cares whether your son dies and goes to hell? They don't care. They threw church out of schools 50-something years ago. They don't care. If 10,000 kids go to hell tomorrow, because they're going to go. They don't care. The only thing they care about is one thing, money. And that's why Jesus told them, you can't serve money and God. You can only serve one to the other. What's more important, God or the money? To them, it's the money. And probably to you, it's the money. And that's fine. Repent now and be saved. Deny Christ for money and find out how far money gets you. This life is too short, y'all. Money ain't nothing. I've lived long enough to know this. Money ain't nothing. Your life is too short. It's too short. You die in an instant. You die so fast you don't even know it. The only thing you know, you're in hell now. It is way too short. Most people are not going to tell you that. They say you got so much life in front of you. I'll tell you, to the young man and the young woman, there's not so much life in front of you. You can die tomorrow. There's so many kids. Haven't you seen how many adults, how many kids, how many teenagers die every year? They're dying all the same. It's all the same. The youngest die as well as the old. In the middle, they all die. And they die fast. And you're still wondering, though, why am I telling you all this? Because the simple fact is, if you listen to this tyrannical government, you're going to go where this tyrannical government tells you to go. And guess where it's telling everybody to go? To hell. It's saying, don't worry about God. Don't worry about how you act. Don't worry about going to church. Which I'll tell people now, it's not even about going to church. It's about a relationship with God, Jesus. If going to church makes you feel good, if it makes you feel better, go. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to tell you like Jesus told his disciples. If you go, listen to them, but don't be like them. Don't act like them. Don't let them pervert you. Because a lot of people are being perverted by the church. Because the church says they accept the tyranny. It says accept it. But I'm going to tell you something. That is the wrong way of thinking. I'll tell you the best way of thinking is you better be thinking about every congressman you put into power if he's a man that fears God or a woman that fears God. You better be thinking about, and if they don't even vote for them because it won't even matter. It won't even matter. Evil is evil in the sight of God. There's no in-betweens there. Evil is evil. If you're having to choose two evils, what's the difference? It's like choosing to die by a shotgun or choosing to be dying by a gun. It don't matter. You're going to die anyways. That's how it is if you are voting in people. And guess what? If you know somebody that needs to be running for office, you need to tell them to go run. If you know somebody that's God-fearing, loves God, rejects these lies that are being taught in these institutions, that's who you need to be after to go and run against the evil. But I'll tell you something. Until we get godly men in these offices, we are under a tyrant. Until you understand that the reason you suffer is not because of your own problems, it's because of the tyrant government that you are under. They have led us all astray for their own selfish desires. They love money more than they love the people. They love getting richer, and the way they get richer is by manipulation. Most of them took psychology. Why do you think all these psychology majors? Psychology is the most wicked thing taught in American colleges. It is so wicked. And guess what? I'm going to tell you a little secret, parents. Your daughter or son ain't never going to tell you the wickedness they're teaching you, because then you'd pull them out of college. But I'll go ahead and tell you, I've been to college. I know what they're teaching them kids. And they're teaching them Satan. And like I said, keep throwing your kids keep telling them to go to Moloch. Just put them up on the altar of Moloch and let them burn. Burn them alive on Moloch. You know, I mean, colleges are not anymore for truth. The only way you're going to find truth now is in this Word of God. And believe me, if a person reads this Word of God, especially a young person, God's going to give him more knowledge than any person in college. He'll give you so much knowledge, it'll blow the minds off of the people in these colleges. I just know my God. This Bible is got way more truth. And see, truth is knowledge. Truth is understanding. And truth is able to understand the knowledge of this world and the next world. The truth of God. It's able to understand both truths. It's a double-edged sword. It works here in the present, and it'll work in the future. But see, they don't want your kids knowing about God. You might not even want your kid knowing about God. But I'll tell you right now, you might as well go ahead and knock them in the back of the head. Or start praying for them now. Or hopefully they go against you and they rebel against you and they do serve God. I hope the kids out there that your mama and daddies don't believe in God, I hope you believe in God. I hope you parents out there that have taught not to believe in God, I hope you burn for it. For the simple fact is, that is the most evilest thing a parent could do, is tell their kids there's not no God. That is the most evilest act. That is so treasonous against everything you should believe in, that there is a God. And there is a God out there. You should be thankful every day for your boys and your girls that God's giving you. And if you're not thankful, something's wrong with you. Yeah, you've been living up under a tyrant government who's teaching your kids how to be Satanists. You're not whooping them. They told you not to whoop them, didn't they? Because what do they know? Oh, I guess they know everything, so you don't whoop them. You don't do anything to them. You just let them run amok. I'm going to tell you something. Go look at the way other nations are. I've been to other nations around this world. I know how these kids act in these other nations, and they act right. They act right. They act like children should act. They respect their mom and dads. They don't get out of line. I mean, I've seen places around the world where kids walk line in line with the family. Line in line, I mean. These kids right here, you get them in a supermarket and they're running around all over the place. I'm going to tell you something. A supermarket's one thing, but your kids start running out in these streets, they die in these streets. They die. I want you all to understand, ignorance is not knowing truth. Ignorance is allowing tyranny to rule not only in a government, but it's also ruling over your life. Your ignorance will rule over your life if you don't allow truth. Real truth of God that's like a double-edged sword into your life. If you don't understand real truth from God, you will never understand how much tyranny you're under right now. And how much more tyranny if you continue to perpetuate it by telling your kids there's no God. And believing that yourself. Believing a lie. Quit believing the lies. Get out of the TV screen. Get out of it. Get into this Word of God. Get into the Word of God, I'm telling you. Quit being ignorant. And the only way ignorance gets out of your life is when you start reading the Word of God. when you start praying and asking God for guidance for you, for your children, for your futures, for your grandchildren. You can't live in ignorance and think that things are going to prosper. How does anything prosper in stupidity and ignorance? They're like a double-edged sword. They only come to poverty. They only bring poverty upon yourselves. And, you can lay up as much poverty as you can wealth. Wealth, not riches. I didn't say riches. Wealth. Wealth is good. Riches, not so much. Most of the people don't know how to handle it. They allow the tyrant, the devil, to come in, and he starts playing on all the money you got, where you don't want to give none, where you don't think you got to give none. What does it matter if I give any? I got a little bit, but hell, I ain't going to give it to nobody. There's people out here that's got billions and trillions of dollars, and they're afraid to give 2 cents to somebody. I mean, what was it worth getting all this money and you won't even give none to nobody? I mean, your life is short. You're going to die. You're going to die, old man, with $1 million bank account. You're going to die, lady, with $1 million bank account. Young man, you're going to die with a $20 million bank account. You're going to die. And what did you do with the money? You just sat there in a bank somewhere? Oh, you just kept reinvesting. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but I'm saying if you got some, give some, because the simple fact is there's a lot of people out here that don't have none. None. And it's only because of this stupid, the government itself allowing them to be stupid and ignorant and dumb down. They dumb down the children. They tried to do it in my generation. They tried to dumb me down, but I knew better. I knew there was a God. I knew there was a truth. And I believed it more than I believed them. And I said, bye-bye. I went and got what I needed and got on with my life. And I turned out all right. I'll tell y'all out here, forget about trying to do all that these people are telling you to do. If you want to live a good life, live a good life. If you want to live a life that will abandon you, that will bring you to the brink of the gates of hell, just continue the way of college and all this stuff, so that and then you say, well, I can go to college, I'm strong enough to get away from all this. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's like, I'll tell you right now, sin and this tyranny will become yours. This tyrannic kind of people that you see in government right now, that will be you one day. And if you want to be that person, be him. But I want to tell you right now, you're going to die and you're going to find another tyrant. And that tyrant's going to be over you. And that tyrant might destroy your whole entire soul. God is a merciful God. He's a great God. He wants you to enjoy life, but He doesn't want you to be dumb to His truth. He wants you to be smart. And believe me, He can give you all the smart you need. See, that's the lie that the devil's been teaching kids and mamas and daddies. Oh, they need college. They need this. They need it. No, you don't. You don't need none of it. They've just given that lie over and over again. Guess what? When all these institutions don't have no kids, guess what? Are they going to say we don't need no medical staff? No, they're going to make a way for medical staff. We got to stop the tyranny. The tyranny in our country is just it's growing exponentially. The rich tyrants are just getting richer, and they're using their own. They're not even using their laws to protect the innocent and the poor and the weak. They're just making the poor poorer, the weak weaker, and the ones trying to do right by all their means, they're tripping them up. They're bringing like I said, this tyrant system rides on the back of a beast. They're riding on the back of a beast, and they don't even know they're riding on the back of a beast. But they're riding on the back of a beast, and that beast is giving them much power, much influence in this nation. It's giving your daughters much influence. They're going to become whores. Most daughters that see all this BS on TV with all these women, and then they have Instagram, Facebook, and they see all them whores, they're just going to become more whores. So just give your little girls Facebook and give them Instagram and let them go. Because I'm going to tell you something. They're going to become little whores, and they're going to become little liars, and then they're going to become a shame, a low-down, dirty shame to you and everything that you wanted out of their life. That's what they're going to become. I'm just telling you, that's what they're going to become. But at the same time, if you would just listen and see the truth that I'm trying to tell you, young man, old man, young woman, old woman, young woman, whatever. If you see the truth, if you want the truth, then accept what I'm telling you. If you want to live a hellish life and be brought down low, because I'm going to tell you something. The more wealth that envelops you, the more sin envelops you. The more sin envelops you, the more Satan envelops you. Until one day you're nothing. You're a charred piece. Because you're going to be charred. Because, see, that's Moloch. That's what Moloch does. He burns you up. He burns you totally up. He wastes your life. Takes the life right out of you. What was real life, you forfeit for false idols and false everything. A false sense of security in your money. A false sense of security that there's no God, that I did this all on my own. No, you didn't. You didn't do nothing on your own. God done it, and then when you get done, He's going to tell you why He done it, and then that's if He tells you. I mean, a king don't have to tell you anything. I mean, this is a kingship that you're going to be entering into when you die and you leave here. You're not going to be in a democracy. This isn't a vote. You're not going to be on American Idol getting voted by 5 different judges. This is one God, holy God, and He's seeing everything that you've ever done, and He's judging you accordingly. And the only judgment you're going to get if you don't have Jesus Christ in your life, baptized, like I said, I don't know about all this other stuff they're telling people. I just know baptism. Be baptized in the Spirit, baptized by water, and walk in truth and understanding. Then tyranny will flee from you and from your generation. But if you don't want that for your generation, if you want more tyrants, if you don't want to be able to breathe, because by the time this next generation comes around, the tyrant level is going to hit such an extreme that the people are not going to be able to breathe without going to jail, without being out on the streets, without being locked up and hauled away. Because in a tyrant generation, there is no mercy. There is nothing except hell. It's going to be literally a hell on earth, and then when you get done, it'll be a hell forever. Because your generation will not accept truth. If you want to go party, go party. I've already done that. I know what that leads to. Nothing. Nothing. It leads to nothing. If you want to be practicing foolishness, Satanist things, you think, running around sleeping with all these people ain't Satan? That's Satan. You don't think running around and watching these TV shows that aren't even about God, aren't even about anything of truth. Satan. It's just Satan. It don't have no God in it. There's no God in it. Oh yeah, they do the Hail Mary thing. Oh yeah, Mary's going to save you. Mary cannot save you. If you're a Catholic, Mary doesn't save you. Jesus Christ saves you. Jesus Christ is the high priest. He's the only thing between you and God and a hellfire. Okay? If you're Catholic, I don't care what you've been believing all your life, Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus Christ is real. Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Jesus Christ is the one. He is the way. He is the light. He can save you. He can bring you back to a right mind, a right way of living, a right way of judging things, a right way of thinking about things. But I tell you, if you don't, then you choose the tyrant. And when you choose the tyrant has nothing to do but make you a slave, dumb you down even more and more. And then one day, whatever's left, he's going to burn up. You're no use to him anymore. Because a tyrant doesn't love you. He doesn't care about you. He only wants you for that one little minute, and then he's gone. That's just like the government right now. They only want the people for as long as they can get them. But if you can't make no money, it's time to get you out of here. And believe me, you already see it. They've killed a lot of people in the last couple of years. And they've blamed it on a lot of stuff. And maybe it's true, and maybe it's not. But I'll tell you right now, it looks to me like there's a big tyrant in town in America. And he ain't going nowhere. He's just getting bigger and bigger. And until you accept truth, until this generation of people get this message out of people, until this generation gets truth in their life, quits denying the truth and accepting a lie, they will never get rid of the tyrant. The Second Amendment isn't going to get rid of the tyrant. Voting is not going to get rid of the tyrant. Changing laws aren't going to get rid of the tyrant. Them dying up there, all them older people dying, that's not going to get rid of the tyrant. The only thing that's going to get rid of the tyrant is us all banding together with one accord, one unity, saying we accept you, Lord Jesus. We want truth in our life. We want honesty. We want dignity brought back to our nation. We want to bow only to you and you alone. And then the tyrant will flee. I hope y'all hear this message. I hope you understand it. And I just pray to all those out there that hear this message that you would get this message out, because we need a message to reach all people that they can be free, that they don't have to have a tyrant over their life. They can have a one living true God, a loving God, an understanding God, or a forgiving God, and a saving God over their life. I just pray this, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Proud of it podcast. Please like, share, and tell somebody about me. Thank you, and have a great night.